Welcome to Ask the Funeral Director with Mike Voyajakis. Brought to you by Voyage Funeral Home and Crematorium. Now, here's your host, Brad Wilder. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Ask the Funeral Director with Mike Voyajakis. I'm your host, Brad Wilder. Great to be here along with all of our wonderful guests that are coming online tonight. Lots of chatter in the chat room ahead. As well, we've got a great show planned. We're going to talk about a bunch of things, hockey being one of them. Tough break for the Jets yesterday. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Still a road ahead. It's not over by any stretch, and the Jets can do it. We'll talk about that. We'll get to some interesting things that have happened north of the city here, out at a area called Lac du Bonnet, where there's been some obviously massive forest fires, and there's lots of concern for the residents of that area, and we'll talk about that. And some other great things that Mike's got on the table. We'll get to that all coming up right here on Ask the Funeral Director after this.
I'm Michael Voyajakis of Voyage Funeral Home, Alexa's funeral director and embalmer in the province of Manitoba. Let's talk about simple cremation, and we'll talk about the price differences. At Voyage Funeral Home, simple cremation, $1,680, no hidden costs, no surprises. At Voyage Funeral Home, you get one thing for sure: continuity of care, treating your loved one as we would our own. What's included in simple cremation? Taking your loved one into our care from the place of death. Once we have your loved one into our care, we transfer to and from the crematorium. Voyage Funeral Home and Crematorium owns and operates a state-of-the-art cremation facility. We include all your administration fees, provide you with your Canada pension forms, allowing you to apply for up to $2,500 from the government, provide you with your surviving spouse benefit forms, allowing you to apply for up to 60% of your loved one's pension. We help you put an obituary together in the Winnipeg Free Press, the Winnipeg Sun, are absolutely free on our website. Continuity of care, family owned and operated. Voyage Funeral Home and Crematorium. When you're thinking simple cremation, think Voyage, $1,680.
All right, we don't want.
I'm Michael Voyajakis of Voyage.
There we go. Hey, welcome to the show tonight.
Hey, how you doing, Brad?
Almost can't tell whether we're live or if that's tape or you all look the same.
Another day, another dollar.
Another day, another
Wow,
dollar.
what a sad day in Manitoba today.
It was.
And the forest fires, and you got to pray for rain. If you're watching the show tonight, pray for rain. The people in Manitoba can use rain to help put out some of those fires, save some homes, and maybe save some lives. Wow, we're going to talk more about that later. But now we're going to go back to see who number one on the show was tonight.
Who was number one?
And it looks like it was Gord.
Good old Gord.
Hello, Brad and Mike. And Debbie, of course, number two. Hi, everyone. Happy Hump Day from West K. It's got rhythm, doesn't it?
Debbie McKenzie's here from Taber, Alberta tonight. Good to have you, Debbie, as well as Susan Carrier from, it doesn't say, just say pray for rain.
Al Bueller, you were supposed to call me. I need some work done on the house. You need to call me, Brad. I mean,
Mike.
Brad.
No,
Wayne.
Al. What?
Al. Kathy, I can't do it. Kathy. Hi, everyone. Sad day spent. Many tears. The outreaches. Oh.
It was a tough day for a lot of people. Their
Terry,
cabins
good.
are gone.
Go Jets, go. Terry, I'm wondering if you're going to ride your horse to the arena tomorrow night and be all over the news. First Manitoban to ride his horse to the Winnipeg Jets game, tie it up outside. Go Jets, go. Every time they score, do a lap around the arena.
Too many people there. It would scare the
You
horse.
think the horse would freak out?
Yeah, probably.
So Sophie, good evening, friends.
Patricia from Cornwall, Terry Thiessen from Southern Alberta, as well as Michelle Ann Stengel.
Hey, did Michelle win the all-you-can-eat pasta last time? Was it Michelle Ann?
I'm not sure.
Can't remember.
I can't remember either, but you got some more to give away tonight?
Oh, yeah, we're going to give away more. Oh, it was Michelle Roy. Somebody won. I can't remember who it was. But hopefully they enjoyed the all-you-can-eat pasta.
Michelle and Roy?
Teresa. Hi, Mike and Brad. A lot of people on the show tonight, and it's pretty early. Wow, the Toronto Maple Leafs are taking a beating right off the top today, 6-0, 6-0 the last time I checked. And they were up on the series. Hockey's a big thing. You know, Canadian teams all over the place. Edmonton, Toronto, Winnipeg.
It's tied 2-2.
2-2?
It's 3-2 now.
Wow.
You're a Jets fan, so you're paying attention
I
to
love
Jets.
the Jets. Can't wait till tomorrow night's
I've
game.
been following Florida only because Paul Maurice is there.
I know. Paul Maurice said last year
I'm
he
going to
wants
the Cup.
Winnipeg Jets to
I want
win the
the
cup
Cup.
this year. And you know what? They are going to rock.
No. He
on
wants
that.
to win the Cup, but I didn't hear him say
He
Jets.
wants the Winnipeg Jets to win the cup.
Oh, yeah, well,
That's what he said.
they got to get by Daly first, and that ain't an easy task as it seems to be.
Yeah, what a night. And you know what? It's good to see hockey alive. You know, the Jets aren't out yet. I mean, think about what they did.
Long way to go.
1.6 seconds in the game. They scored. I think when they come to Winnipeg, they're going to win 2 games in Winnipeg and then go back to Florida and win that game there. It'll be entertaining all along.
You know,
just can't wait.
They're a home team. They're not an away team. And I shouldn't say away team. It's their goaltender is an away goalie.
George said, yeah. How many people blame Hellebuck?
Yeah, I got to just bang the bell because I can't even mention it.
What the Jets were thinking. Why would they not put Comrie in net for the away games? They know what Hellebuck's all about.
Yeah.
I mean, great goaltender, but for some reason, he's got this curse that follows him around.
You put
every time he
Scheifele
goes.
in net. I don't care. Just don't put Buck in net.
Actually, they did better when they had no goalie in net. And they were
Yeah,
scoring
well,
goals,
that's right,
so.
right?
Jeez. Well, we're going to give away our first prize of the night, and we're going to
It's
do
your
it.
only prize.
Oh, yeah, we only have one prize now. Look at that. Just like that, we don't have a second prize. So the Cork and Flame, all-you-can-eat pasta every Monday night.
Nobody's here for the prizes.
All-you-can-eat
It's your
pasta.
sparkling personality. I'm just saying.
Hey,
I know.
all-you-can-eat pasta every... Oh, Brad, I got to
What?
show you something.
What do you got?
Everybody, you got to see this. You probably won't be able to see it on... oh, yeah, you will. So there's a fan of Brad's on the show, and she likes Brad so much, she says he's such an awesome-looking guy that she got a tattoo on her armpit.
I saw that yesterday.
Look at this. And the tattoo says Brad.
She sent it to me. She said, you paid for it.
How nice, Brad. Jeez.
She went to your tattoo guy, too, I heard.
Brad's just that special kind of guy who attracts these special kind of women that tattoo Brad under their armpits.
Don't you get the joke there?
Brad
Pitt.
Brad Pitt, I get it.
Okay, about time.
All you can eat pasta every Monday night at the Cork and Flame. People that go there say it's incredible. I'm not part of the Cork and Flame as far as ownership goes anymore.
Have you eaten their all-you-can-eat pasta yet, though?
I haven't eaten all you can eat blah 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 blah, blah pasta.
How come?
But because I've been there on a Monday night, and
Well, maybe we should go do a show there.
yeah, we should do a show on Monday at all you can eat pasta and get everyone down to have all you can eat pasta with it. Hey, Mike, do you still own the Cork and Flame? No, the Cork and Flame was sold a couple weeks ago. I do miss the place a lot because it was kind of the last thing we.
I asked him what he did today. He says, nothing. I sat at home all day. I said, retired, are you?
You know, Sharon and Josh are at the lake, and I thought, well, I'm just going to stay home all day today because if I'm home when Sharon's
That's
home.
what semi-retired
aren't you
is.
going to do something? Like, aren't you going to go somewhere?
You're almost 65.
Not even near, buddy. Not even near.
Okay, I agree.
My mom's watching the show tonight, so hey, Mom, how's it going?
Hi, Susan and Wayne.
She's watching the show with this Italian guy.
Oh, Angelo.
Angelo, the Italian's watching the show with my mom. Pretty good. My mom's got the whole neighborhood watching Ask the Funeral Director. And then when I phone her up, I go, Mom, how was the show tonight? Mike, you could do better. You should do this. You should do that. Tell Brad to be quiet.
Oh, is that what she said, eh?
Tell Brad to get a haircut.
I'll have a talk with her.
So we're going to go into our first. This is
Hey,
really
did
interesting.
you see how hot it was out yesterday? 38
Beautiful.
degrees.
It was kind of like being in an oven.
I was going to say, if we stuck you outside, I'd have Greek ribs.
Yeah, Greek ribs. Little salt, little pepper, little oregano. We're going to do this first video, and this is really interesting because I love what Donald Trump did here. A lot of people don't like Donald Trump, but I think he's there for the right reason. He's there for the Americans. He's doing the best he can to put them on the map again, and just love what he's doing. Trump removes the migrants, takes the money away that the migrants were getting, and gives it to the homeless veterans. You got to love this. This is classic Trump. We're going to play this video and talk about it afterwards.
Well, today, President Trump signed a flurry of executive orders. One of them has a special emphasis on L.A. and its massive homeless vets population. If you've ever driven along San Vicente Boulevard in West L.A. or some of the nearby side streets, you've seen the dozens of tents housing homeless vets near the VA Center.
so far what I've seen, I mean, that's great. That's what we've been trying to get done for years on this campus. And veterans as a whole have been fighting this situation for decades, trying to get more housing built on the West LA VA grounds.
President Trump was busy this Friday in the Oval Office, signing a number of bills, including an executive order establishing the National Center for Homeless Veterans. The center would be headquartered at the VA Center in West LA. Los Angeles has the highest number of homeless vets in the entire country, with estimates of 4,000 unhoused. Rob Reynolds has been an outspoken Iraq War vet, and he underscores the urgent need.
I know for myself and others that have been working for years to get more veterans on that campus, that's what we want to see, to immediately get some temporary housing put on the property, get our homeless veterans off the street, and stop this madness once and for all, because there's absolutely no reason that men and women who served this country and were deployed to combat zones should be sleeping and dying on the streets. The whole idea here is that, you help veterans come in off the street, you help them deal with whatever mental health issues they have going on, disabilities, substance abuse, and get them housed and have programs to help people get back to work.
And tonight, a Democratic member of Congress tells me that they are taking a look at the executive order. They're not sure if shifting the funds from one area to another violates the Constitution. That's because Congress, of course, controls the purse strings.
Tonight, we're learning more details about the man accused of a brutal murder at a Valley.
All right, wow, that's a really good thing.
And
isn't it, Mike?
they're trying to fight the fact that he's doing that, trying to find an excuse not to let him do it. But the migrants did not deserve that money, and I'm glad that he's giving it to the homeless veterans. And it's sad to see so many veterans on the street in tents after they were on battleground fighting for our freedoms. And we need to do that. I mean, hopefully Carney will learn something out of this and do something very similar for the veterans who are here, right here in Canada, on our streets, homeless, fighting to get a meal from day to day.
Right.
And it's sad to see that anyone who fought in the military, anyone who's a Canadian actually, who's homeless, doesn't deserve to be homeless. We all have a story.
Do you think there's a lot of Canadian vets homeless compared to American vets? Like, I think it's a wider...
I think the American vets would be... I remember going to Vegas, and I was walking across a bridge, and there was a veteran sitting there, and I stopped and I talked to him, and his story was really heartbreaking.
Yeah.
How he came back to nothing. How his wife was gone and his kids were gone, and he came back to... the USA basically pushing him aside and not appreciating anything they did for him, and he became homeless. So there's lots and lots of stories about how they become homeless, and everyone has a story. You just don't wake up one morning and become homeless. There's a story behind that. So Trump is doing what Trump needs to do, and you know what, he's really doing a lot for the states, signing order after order to make changes that's really
right.
positive. So not a liberal fan, but I hope Carney does.
He's
something.
spending the money
I gotta tell you
wisely.
something. Abhi Khan the other day. So this is something to my heart. So you talk to people, you have them on your show. We had Abhi here, we had Wally here. So I sent a message to Abhi Khan, and I thought, let's see what kind of guy he's going to be.
How?
Is he going to return my call? Is he going to phone me? Is he just going to ignore me? Because a lot of times you're there when people need you, right? And then when they get what they want, they don't need you anymore. Surprisingly enough, I'm watching the Jets game yesterday, and I get a call from Abhi Khan.
All right.
And he says, "Hey, Mike, how you doing? And we need to get the PC party off the ground and blah, 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 blah." And we talked for 10 or 15 minutes, so he's the real deal.
I had another gentleman who ran for MP in our area and for Conservatives, and he called me back and he says, "I want to be on your show too." So
see, that's great. I mean, it's
things
nice to see that. That's caring.
That is.
So sharing is caring, they say, and that's exactly what they're doing. We're going to go to this next video, but before we do that, we're going to give away all-you-can-eat pasta from the Cork and Flame. Maybe Brad and I will go down next Monday. Oh, wait, next Monday's a holiday.
Why does it have to be Monday? Isn't pasta night every night?
No, it's Monday night. It's all-you-can-eat pasta. It's only one night a week.
Oh.
Jeez, Brad.
What's the next night?
Monday night. Tuesday night. Well, I don't know. We're only pushing all-you-can-eat pasta. Then they can have all-you-can-eat ribs, and then they have whatever else they have. I mean, it's on their website, I guess.
I like pasta and I like ribs.
So not this Monday, but maybe the next Monday we'll go and have pasta.
I'm in.
On the house. Brad and I, you could come and join us for all-you-can-eat pasta
on the house.
The Cork and Flame.
Are you buying?
On the house, yeah. We'll make
All
sure
right.
that the fine new owners of the Cork and Flame take
Feed
care
us?
of us. As we play this video, here's the question for tonight's all-you-can-eat pasta. How much is all-you-can-eat pasta at the Cork and Flame every Monday nights? First person with the answer will win all-you-can-eat pasta from the Cork and Flame, 3106 Portage Avenue.
A groundbreaking new study sounding alarms about the safety of COVID mRNA vaccines, directly challenging claims from public health officials and raising urgent questions about transparency and trust. So using hard data from disease trends, from patient outcomes and immune system analysis, multiple research reports show that heart inflammation risks tied to the vaccines may be far greater and maybe even more dangerous than previously reported, particularly among young men. Joining us now to discuss this is Independent Medical Alliance Senior Fellow of Pediatric Cardiology, Dr. Kirk Milholm. Good morning to you, Doctor. Welcome to the National News Desk. Great to have you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
This new study about the safety of COVID mRNA vaccines was published in the International Journal of Cardiovascular Research and Innovation, as I understand it. Tell us about the scope of this research and really your top findings from it.
So it's a compilation of studies that really have been out there since 2021. We saw a signal in the vaccine product causing problems, especially in the young adults, especially young males, that was causing heart inflammation. And so what we have done is compiled all those different peer-reviewed journals, articles, and data, and put them in one place, easily accessible, with 42 pages and 341 references of our concerns that this is a real issue and these vaccines do little good for healthy children and young adults.
Right. Were you able to distinguish the cause of myocarditis, the differential between a COVID infection versus it being just an adverse reaction to the COVID vaccine?
Yes, it's very clear from a number of reasons that we've been able to evaluate. And primarily, there was a great study out of the Nordic countries that studied 23 million children and young adults, and they found that the people who had the least amount of myocarditis were the unvaccinated. And as you increase the number of vaccine doses, or you use Moderna versus Pfizer, your risk just kept stepping up in terms of your risk for myocarditis. Once again, in a disease state that is really very mild for healthy children and young adults.
You know, initially, this topic was so rare when we first heard about this, myocarditis and the links, to the vaccine. But what does the data reveal now?
So there was a study out of Lancet that showed and looked at all these children who had been harmed by the vaccine and had myocarditis secondary to the vaccine. And they looked at them 90 days out. And a lot of things remained normal, except their cardiac MRI, which showed continued inflammation and possible scarring of the heart itself 90 days out. Further studies, a new study released by Yale said that they're still seeing free-floating spike protein, which is what that vaccine asks the body to make, which is a cardiotoxin still floating around in the body for over 700 days.
Wow.
It was supposed to just be put in and your body made an immune response and then it went away, but it is hanging around in some people.
So it's not transitory. It's not resolving over time. I mean, there's like long-term impacts we're seeing right now.
Yeah, for certain people, it is devastating and long-term issues for a disease process that they had very little risk for.
Wow. So for more information, you can visit imahealth.org. And Doctor, we appreciate you joining us this morning to talk about this very important topic.
Thank you for having me on.
Of course.
Monday,
Well, it's kind of crazy, but it's safe and effective. I just want everybody to know that because, well, I don't want to get pulled off YouTube again.
Do you remember everyone calling you conspiracy theorists? You don't know what you're talking about. Stop spending this conspiracy stuff. Stop telling people that this is happening. You're a liar. This isn't happening. Well, guess what? It's happening more and more 2 years after, as they said. And we see it at the funeral home on an ongoing basis. Myocarditis. What did he say? Cardiotoxins floating around in your body for 700 days. That's a pretty serious thing.
It is. Big time.
And we told you at the funeral home we're having an increase of children, miscarriages and stillbirths through the roof, something I've never seen before. 26 years as a funeral director, and it's exploding. So this is really happening, folks, and it's unfortunate, but now people are talking about it. More and more doctors. I see a doctor got his license reinstated the other day after having it taken away.
He did, eh?
A year ago he had it taken away, and he had it reinstated the other day because the evidence is overwhelming. The courts gave him his...
It's finally starting to come in.
It's coming in. So for those people who were being put down, who were being yelled at, who were being told to shut up, families that were falling apart, all the hate and anger and all that stuff that happened during those 2 years, was nonsense. It happened for no reason whatsoever.
I hope some of those little old ladies who yelled at me at the market and the grocery store for not wearing my mask are sitting at home still and realizing what they did.
You know, Brad, some people are still, no matter what you say, no matter how much proof you put in front of their face, some people have it stuck in their head that COVID was real and we have no right to talk about it.
Yeah, well, guess what? We do so, and I will.
And the President of the United States,
stop.
Donald Trump, is reimbursing people who were fired, rehiring people who were fired.
Yeah.
So, and soon Fauci is going to be in a lot of hot water, and we're going to see President Trump go after him right away. So a lot of good things happening for the people that were freedom fighters, and good for you for standing up and doing the right thing and doing what your heart told you to do, and that's what we all need to do.
Being the medical guy that you are, you know, and I'm not saying you're a doctor or anything by any stretch, nor do you give medical advice, but what's your take on the measles thing? Because Dr. Russin's starting to talk a little bit about that. I saw it in the chat room just pop, and I thought I better mention that real quick.
I think the measles are another scam like everything else. I mean, everyone has the measles. You had the measles when you were young. I had the measles when I was young.
Chicken pox,
all that stuff. But now
tonsillitis.
They make it look like a big thing. Listen, when we were young, we got the odd vaccine, but our moms and dads would give us some chicken noodle soup and a smack in the back of the head to say, "Yeah, you're going to bed early tonight, not going to school tomorrow, and the next day you're going to school."
Stop scratching!
Hey, what are you doing?
Put the lotion on. It puts the lotion on.
I heard some funeral directors put plastic pants on the body to avoid fluids from seeping through after the embalming. Is that true? Absolutely.
Are you going into the show or what?
We have past. That's just answering a question.
Okay.
We have, John McMorrin. You won the all-you-can-eat.
That's good because people were still guessing numbers.
It was $25, all-you-can-eat pasta. You can't go wrong, I mean,
no.
5 different kinds of pastas. You finish the one bowl, you move on to the second one. It's a different pasta altogether. You move on to the third bowl, which is another pasta. How many do you think you could do, Brad?
5.
5? You get
all of them.
I think I could do maybe 2 if I'm lucky.
How big are the bowls?
They're pretty big.
Well, we'd have to try it out maybe next Monday.
Yeah, that's right, Mike. You can talk until you're blue in the face, but still, they believe in the jab. And you know what? I got into a conversation this week in the arrangement office with a guy, and I showed him proof about Fauci. And he said to me, "That's garbage. I don't want to talk about it." And he walked out of the funeral home, and his family stayed there. And I said, "Why did he walk out? Why is he so mad?" Because he has myocarditis. And it happened shortly after he got vaccinated, so he's pissed, and he's pissed anybody that talks about it. Sophia says, does it include lobster ravioli? Good question. You could go to the Cork and Flame website and see everything.
I'm not a fan of lobster ravioli.
Yeah, I don't think I like the lobster ravioli. But congratulations, John. Now, something else I want to talk about. This is funny, and it's funny because we talked about it on the show. But remember when we said that you're going to be eating... What were you going to be eating?
Ribs?
The plants.
Oh, the bugs. Eat the bugs.
Remember, we were going to be eating bugs and they opened up all these factories.
I'm sorry, I'm stuck on spaghetti, man. I'm thinking spaghetti and pizza. I haven't even had supper yet. I'm starving.
So this factory called Aspire got a $9 million grant from the government. Can you imagine what they could have did with $9 million?
$9 million and they're bankrupt.
$9 million.
Belly
they're bankrupt now. And here's the story. Aspire is no longer going to be putting bugs in your food.
And you know that building that they put up for $9 million is infested with bugs.
Well, of course.
I'm funny, eh? I know.
Heather, we're going to find out if it's grasshoppers or if it's
crickets.
Crickets, of course.
It's crickets.
So we were gonna eat crickets, if you remember, and you're gonna see in this video that they've gone bankrupt. But what are they gonna do with all the crickets now?
You know what? There's lots of pet lands and stuff like that would probably want those crickets to feed all of their reptiles.
Well, let's hit the video and see what it's all about.
Okay, let's do it. Here we go.
A May 6 order from the Toronto Superior Court of Justice placed Aspire Food Group in the hands of receiver FTI Consulting Canada. The decision was based on a filing from Farm Credit Canada, a Crown corporation which reported Aspire had debts of more than $41 million. But one agri-food expert doesn't think this needs to be the end of Aspire.
I think this plant needs to survive because there is potential there. You can actually do a lot of things with crickets.
Professor Sylvain Charlebois is director of the Agri-Food Analytics Lab lab at Dalhousie University and co-host of the Food Professor podcast. He feels there is a market for cricket proteins.
You can actually do a lot of things with crickets. You can actually produce fertilizer for lawns, for plants, and obviously I'm thinking about the food supply chain and producing nutrients and feed for livestock in particular.
Aspire was formed by 5 McGill University students in 2013. They won a prize of $1 million US awarded for business ideas that solve pressing social issues. But Professor Charlebois believes company leadership missed the mark on marketing and business strategies.
Frankly, we see it all the time in business is that often people are creators, they're innovators, but they're not necessarily good managers.
Still, Charlebois believes there's a way forward for the London plant under new management, noting that cricket production is inexpensive and can be achieved with far lower greenhouse gas emissions than other protein sources.
And it is a state-of-the-art plant, and to convert that plant into doing anything else would be extremely difficult and expensive.
Aspire also has a research and development arm in Austin, Texas. The London operation was opened in 2022. In November, leadership reported that staffing in London was cut from 150 employees to 50, with the goal of rehiring in July. A dozen vehicles were in the parking lot of the plant on Tuesday morning. We reached out to the receiver for information on the status of operations, but as of news time, hadn't received a response. Jerry DeWan, CTV News.
My friend. Crickets.
Hey, Al Bueller, watch your language in the chat, buddy. That's all I got to say.
All right.
So you know what? $41 million in debt, and the globalist guy is still oh no, this is profitable. We can still make it go. Well, people should be eating crickets. Well, I, for one, am not.
Yeah, you're the livestock they want eating crickets, bud.
Yeah, you should be eating crickets. Take them all home. They're all stuck
That's
in that
correct.
factory that's closed down now and it's infested. Oh, we can't. What are we going to use it for? What are we going to use it for? $41 million in debt because they wanted to open up a cricket factory. Farm.
You know, from cockroach milk to cricket proteins. Look, nobody wants to eat that.
Do you want to read? Do you want to read this?
Yeah,
here?
we should talk about that for a minute before we go into our next video.
Where did it go? There it is. No, that's the factory one.
Up, just up a bit. Just stop there. All right, we're aware of the ostrich farm in British Columbia. No doubt about it. The culling of almost 400 healthy, beautiful birds that are being used for research are now being culled by the government. The government has said that these birds went through bird flu. Obviously, they have natural immunity because they survived. These birds don't fly, so it's not like they're flying out of their pens. So it's not like they're, spreading anything that they may have caught along the way. They are past the bird flu aspect of things. And when you think about where it's all coming from, Mike, it's actually coming from all the other birds that are out there that are just flying around doing their thing as birds that are coming up from the south who contract bird flu down south and bring it up north to us. Now, it could be a goose, it could be any kind of a species of bird that gets passed on. But these ostriches,
poor ostriches.
There's a lot of people that are starting to gather in British Columbia. I think it's Chilliwack, just outside of Chilliwack, and they're going to put up a heck of a fight. I mean, this has been to court.
They're starting to kill a lot of chickens.
They are.
Hey, Josh is in the chat saying, I'm going to stick to chicken and rice.
Barb wants to know how you milk a cricket, Mike.
I don't know how you milk a cricket, but they have cricket.
You're actually not milking the cricket. You're crushing it up and turning it into a powder form and then creating a milk from that.
I don't even know how, why would the government give them so much money? Did they not do their research? Maybe it's like, never mind.
No, we're just going to stop there. I'm going to put you by yourself.
This next story, we went into 4 videos today because I think this is important. So 2 people dead today in Lac du Bonnet. And my deepest condolences to the family who's going to suffer that loss of 2 loved ones. And not only that, my heart goes out to all the people who are fighting to keep their cottages, the people that have lost their cottages, the people that are struggling to get their stuff out of their cottages. And if we could,
a lot of people have been displaced already, right?
Just say a quick prayer for those families because prayer does a lot and it heals and it helps. And these people need prayer tonight across Manitoba who are dealing with this catastrophe of fires. And, you know, I have a cottage in Buffalo Point, and I know you got to go by one of the fire areas to get to that cottage. So we're going to play this video right now, talking about the wildfires in Manitoba.
All right, let's do that, and then we'll come back here. Hold on one sec, everyone. Here we go.
Hey, Brad, you're pushing the...
We have a number of fires of note burning in the province. Our predominant concern is a fire on the eastern side of the province near Lac du Bonnet. This fire was started yesterday, had a lot of response on the fire, and is still considered out of control. We are also actively fighting a fire near Bird River, which is near Nopaming Provincial Park. This is a very large fire, last mapped at close to 100,000 hectares. That fire is also out of control at this time. We are also actively fighting a fire, or watching a fire, pardon me, that is actually in Ontario, near Ingolf, Ontario. And that fire is right along the Manitoba border right now, with potential to impact Manitoba cottage areas potentially. So we're keeping an eye on that one as well. I want to emphasize that we're working very closely with the province of Ontario in communicating both fire behavior and as well as coordinating the response. We're fortunate to have Ontario support us with some water bomber action on some of our fires, and we thank them for that support, because we know that they're also busy with their own things. We also have a fire burning still in Western Manitoba that some of you will be aware of. It's been in the media. That's Fire 4. Near the Paw and OCN. That fire right now is still considered out of control, but we are making really good progress in gaining control of that fire, so we have no significant concerns with that one at this time. In terms of the outlook, we are looking at obviously very challenging conditions. So we have hot weather right now. We have dry conditions. We have had some very windy days, and we expect that to continue, today as well as into tomorrow. There has been some mention of precipitation in the forecast. However, we are not seeing the forecasted amounts anywhere where we need them to be to extinguish the fires or make any appreciable difference in what those fires are doing.
So what I can tell you now is that at this time, there are 24 active fires in Manitoba. 6 of those fires are of note and are requiring significant and prompt response. A number of communities in Manitoba have issued mandatory evacuation notices. Currently, 5 provincial parks, 3 local authorities, 3 Northern Affairs communities, and 24 cottage subdivisions have issued mandatory evacuation orders. 6 states of local emergency have been declared. So as Kristen alluded to, we are actively responding to this wildfire season. This is an extremely dynamic time for us. We are working closely with local authorities and everyone who is participating in part of that response. And the message that we want to send out to Manitobans today is that if you do not need to be in the parks, and if you do not need to be in the areas where first responders need to access, we are asking you to stay away. Staff need space to be able to respond to this event. We are very much in a live response type of situation where we're working to protect people, critical infrastructure, and property. Our message to folks who are currently in the Whiteshell area but not in an area impacted by an evacuation, our message to you is that we want you to stay alert. We want you to monitor for communication from the local authority, and we want you to follow their direction, because as I said, this is a dynamic situation.
What a tough day for people of Lac du Bonnet and other parts of Manitoba. It's a sad situation. Yeah. I know the Paw up by Clearwater Lake, just north of the Paw, just north of Winnipeg here, northeast. A devastating day. Lots of cottages, lots of people that have lost their summers.
I know Viola, who's a friend of the show here, she was right across from the fire where they have a cottage. So Viola, I've been praying for you that everything would be okay with you. I drive by Piney, Manitoba to get to Buffalo Point, and Piney, Manitoba was on fire also. So lots of crazy things happening. And believe it or not, the 2 people that were found dead, a male and a female, have not yet been identified.
No, not yet.
So they're going in for autopsies. So, you know what? What
tragic.
a devastating news
Just
for a
tragic.
family to get. With tragic news for family to get to people.
If you're up there and you got to get out, get out. Don't be standing there
Yeah.
waiting for it to happen to you.
And I've heard stories of guys sitting there with a hose trying to fight the fire with a hose. It's not going to work. Get out of there, pack your stuff, go as quick as you can. You don't, I mean, once that smoke gets into your, I remember one time there was a dog locked in a house, and I went to kick in the window because the neighbor said a dog was there. And when we did, the smoke that came out of there was
it's horrible.
overwhelming. And I mean, you choked just from the smoke coming out from the window.
Exactly.
So it's terrible. And you got to wonder how fires like this start. Is this a fire that started by humans smoking, maybe an ATV, something? You got to wonder how it started. And I know there's a lot of theories out there on how this started, but we're going to stay away from those theories. But it's sad that Manitoba finally got hit with fires that are so devastating. In the chat today.
So
it's
wait,
pretty cool.
you always do that to me,
in
man.
the-
Come on,
in the-
stop it. We're going to talk about this for 30 seconds.
No,
We're
no,
gonna
no. I
say-
don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about how it would have started, may have started.
I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about what's underneath there after it's what's left. You know what's left afterwards?
No.
Granite, quartz.
Oh, yeah.
A bunch of minerals that can be used in a lot of different ways. So, Mike, you could be correct in the chat. You could be. I have no proof of any of it.
Why don't you just explain what Mike is? What's
No,
he saying with
I'm not-
DW? No, just say what is it?
It's called a directed energy weapon, and that's all I
Directed
got to say.
energy
We'll move
weapon.
on from that. Okay,
Yeah,
what
but
do you
they do have a
you
lot
have?
of granite there.
They do have a lot of granite, a lot of quartz, a lot of
crazy.
things that were needed to make all kinds of products. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say in the chat today, John was nice enough to donate his all-you-could-eat pasta to
No
Debbie Lamoureux.
Oh, did he? All right. Well, thanks.
Well, John, well,
That's
it's so nice
awesome
of you.
of you.
I think because John's won twice already, but he's not from Manitoba. I think that's what it is, right, John? 90% of fires, Daryl says, have human origins.
Correct.
So that's
100%. Could be a cigarette
Something
out the
happened.
window. It could be
You know,
a
you can
hot,
only-
you said an ATV, right? Like a motorbike or
well,
an ATV
you can't,
with a
you
hot.
can't take your side-by-sides out right now because, going through the grass, you may start a fire. So I know last weekend I was tempted to take my side-by-side out, and I
Were
thought,
ya?
you know what, I'm going to be responsible, just in case.
So you took the golf cart.
I didn't take anything. I just...
The electric golf cart that has
you can
no
take
way to
your
start
electric
anything on
golf
fire.
cart. So, yeah, anyways, pray for the families, pray for rain. Rain does a lot to help put out these fires.
I mean, this closed the White Shell down today now.
And a lot of people being evacuated. So, if you have to leave. Don't play the hero role and try and stay behind. The last thing you want to do is be caught.
Do
in
the
fire
right thing
or
for
the
your
smoke.
family, right?
Do the right thing for your family. Going to go into
You don't need to be visiting Voyage Funeral Homes anytime soon. Mike never wants to see you early.
People are dying to get in, but please
there you go.
stay with your families.
Okay. So what's coming up?
Viola. She's on the show tonight, so I just want to say to her, I hope your social went well. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it.
Yeah,
to the
neither
social
one of
because
us did, man.
I had to
I
go
was
out of
sad
town,
about
and she called me, and we had a quick conversation.
wanted to go.
I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to come, but never made it. But who knows? Josh says everyone is ripping around in. Where did Josh go? Everyone's ripping around in golf carts at Buffalo Point. That's where he is. It's like a go-kart race.
There you go. It won't catch anything on fire.
Josh
if
says,
it's-
I've only won once, but I'm glad to make somebody happy, and I did tonight.
Another evacuation in Woodbridge.
Wow.
Woodridge, sorry.
They said the fire at Whiteshell started by sparks from a train track. Bill Gates owns the railway.
Of course he does.
Of course he does. Bill Gates
And
owns
most of
everything.
the farmland in Canada. Yeah.
We're going to go into our first question of Ask the Funeral Director. Please don't forget to like, share, and follow the show. Really, really important that you do that because we're being kind of shadow banned, and so many people tell me that they can't get on our show, they can't share things, they can't do things. So it really helps if you would give us some love and just share the show and let people join us and watch it. Viola says we raised $5,500 for type 1 diabetes. Lots of freedom fighters there. Well, congratulations, Viola, for doing that. Type 1 diabetes really needs the money.
JJ, that fire, Waterton, 2017, I'll never forget that. Having lived in Lethbridge, I know exactly what you're talking about and how bad that was. Devastating. And that's why cottage country doesn't need any more fires because it's so pristine and so beautiful that you don't want to see that
Manitoba's
destruction.
beautiful in general.
It's gorgeous.
When you're driving down and there's lots of trees and lots of land and it just be sunflowers and all
If
that
you've
kind of
ever gone through Saskatchewan, you're going to find Manitoba gorgeous.
I know. I've been through Saskatchewan.
All right. So we got the past out of the way. We got a winner for that. We've got question number 1 tonight here on Ask the Funeral Director, Mike. And question number 1 goes like this. What does the College of Funeral Service teach students about compassion towards grieving families? Is there something to learn there? Because I'm going to be honest with you, over the last year working at the funeral home, I've been humbled. Big time humbled.
Yeah, I don't think going to school, I know when I went to school, I was not taught anything about compassion. Compassion is something you need to have deep in your heart. Sympathy for families, compassion, care, all that kind of stuff comes from the heart. It's not something that can be taught. I mean, you could watch.
So your understanding of God came well before you became a funeral director.
My understanding from God grew a lot when I became a funeral director, and you become closer to God, knowing what happens in life and how today's a gift and tomorrow's never promised. And you see these families go through these devastating losses, and your heart just breaks for them, and there's lots of tears and lots of sadness, and you can only pray for these families because you can't make it better for them. No matter how good of a funeral director you are, no matter how great of a job you've done for this family, they've lost a loved one. And that's the most devastating loss that you could ever have in your life, is losing a mom, dad, brother, sister, family member, a child, all those kinds of things. And when I do a child service, it really kicks you back into reality. The reality of realizing that everything in life means nothing. Everything in life's on lease. Nothing's really ours. It's just a tool that we use through life, and then we move on. What's important is helping people and having a good heart and leaving a legacy behind of kindness, and a legacy of caring, and a legacy of being there for people that need you most. And sometimes the littlest things that you could do make people the happiest.
I was telling my wife the other day how that aspect of things has touched me in a different way over the last year and a half that I've hung out with you and been part of what you've got going on at your funeral home. You hear a story, you hear a message, you hear a memory, you hear about a situation of somebody's life, and you go, I've made mistakes.
Yeah.
I've made some bad mistakes.
And the one thing funeral service teaches you is you actually see your mistakes when you're working in a funeral home. You actually feel your mistakes, and you live them through other people's stories.
Yeah.
And then you realize, I mean, there's so many times, Josh,
and you're not seeing the negative of somebody else's story. You're seeing the positive, and you're going, oh no, I blew it.
I remember a family coming in.
I've been really hard on myself, man. I tell you what.
I remember a family coming in one time and having nothing good to say about their father. The only thing they said is Dad was never there for us. He never came to our hockey games, never came to our birthday parties, never came to our school functions. He chased the almighty dollar. That's what Dad did. That's what he was known for. On our birthdays, he would send us money, and money doesn't buy you love. Unfortunately, money doesn't buy you love. What buys you love is what you have in your heart, what you give to others. And that's a really important lesson. And there's many lessons I've learned working in funeral service. And Josh will tell you, if he's still in the show, many times I'd go home and give the kid a great big hug, and he'd go, Dad, you're being weird. Get away from me. But he didn't realize what you went through. What you saw that
trying
day,
days, man.
And the suffering and then, in your mind, you just shake your head, and you only can pray for that family. And I've prayed for many families that have come through a funeral home that I see are totally broken. And, the biggest part of their life is now gone. I'm going to give you one thing that you need to do. Don't wait to retire to go on holidays. Don't wait to retire to enjoy your life, because you never know if you're going to make it to 65. Don't wait till tomorrow to tell your wife that you love her, or to kiss her, or hug your kids tonight and say, hey, I love you. And tell them how good they are, and how proud you are of them. One thing that I've always wanted to do, and I never got a chance to, is tell my younger brother Kyriakis, and it eats away at me, to tell him how much I adored him, and how I appreciated what he did, and how he fought, and how he did everything in his power to become a good person, and all the good things that he did for people. And I wish I would have spent 5 minutes with him and said, hey, I admire you, man. You're my little brother. I love you, and I admire you. But he knew deep in his heart that Mike Voyjakis, his older brother, admired him. And Nick and Pete and my mom, they admired Kyriakis. Kyriakis went through so much hardship. But a true warrior keeps fighting through that hardship, and that's what he did. There was nothing going to stop Kyriakis except murder. And that's the only thing that stopped him. He would have kept on giving. He would have kept on loving. And Josh just still get that big hug. So I go, Josh is, 22, and I go home and I give him a hug all the time and just say, hey, I love you, buddy. And it's just things you need to do for your kids, and spend time, talk to your kids. And it's the lessons that you teach your children that they take with them. It's not the money that you have in your bank account or the car that you're driving. It's what you say to your children, the things that are engraved in their hearts. And that goes for your wife and your moms and dads and all those people. You know, one day, and I see it far too often, one day you're not going to have a chance to phone your mom or your dad or your wife or your brother or your sister and say, hi, I love you. And there's so many times that I want to phone my dad and say, hey, Dad, guess what? Or, hey, Kyriakis, guess what? So do it while they're alive. Buy flowers while they're alive. Tell them you love them while they're alive. Hug them and just be good to each other.
All
Next
right.
question.
Hey, Lily. No, we've got part B yet to go.
Oh,
that was a
do we?
15-minute answer for Lily's first question of the night.
Never stop loving your family.
Is it better to is that the answer? You could have said that a whole lot better.
Heather said
Is it
that.
better to show a lot of emotion and sympathize with family or remain professional given that you don't have any connections to their loved ones?
You know, even when you don't have connections to a family that comes into the funeral home, you can still show emotions. And my emotions come from my heart. So if I have emotions, it's not because I want to try to be someone that I'm not. My emotions come from my heart. And, you know, there's times you'll cry and there's times you'll be sad and times that you just want to give a family a hug because they're going through what they're going through. That's something you can't be taught again. You can't be taught how to be emotional. You can't be taught what to say to families and know when to hug a family and when to just walk away. You know, it takes a special person to be a funeral director, and it's a special talent that you're given by God, a God-given talent that allows you. And I know there's funeral directors who've wanted to become funeral directors, apprentices who've trained with me, and they just didn't have what it took, you know? And they say, how do I do what you do? And I say, you have to have the heart.
Takes a lot. Weird question. I'm sure you get asked this question 1 million times over. Is it sometimes scary to be left alone with dead bodies all by yourself at the funeral home in the morgue? Violet wants to know.
Violet, my dad always said something to me. He said, Mike, don't worry about when you're inside the funeral home. You worry when you go outside. That's when they get you.
Who gets you?
The people outside. Because
Oh,
he
the
says the dead people can't hurt you.
All right.
And it's so true. You know, when you're in the funeral home, there's this I don't know, this cloud of peace around you all the time, and this energy of peace. And when I feel uncomfortable in the funeral home, and I have a few times, I just pack up my stuff and I leave. When I see things aren't right, and a lot of times I walk in there and things aren't right, you get this spooky feeling, you get this feeling that somebody's following you around, somebody's looking at your every move. You just leave, and you come back the next day.
That's a full moon, isn't it?
Yeah, and a full moon, you kind of wonder. No, my dad always said, Mike, don't go to the funeral home on a full moon. My dad said that to me all the time.
All right. Have you ever been around a rotting body, and if so, does it smell really bad, Mike? Ella wants to know. Why, Ella?
Hey, Ella.
Why?
Ella, let me tell you something. There's nothing pretty about death, and the smell of death is far from a pleasant smell. And if you have to go to a house and take somebody into your care who's been deceased, you know, a week or a couple of days in that house, let's just say you bring a lot of Vicks with you, and you put it under your nose, and it takes that smell away. So yeah, the smell of death is not pretty. And
Get to the front door and go, dead guy.
And you know what? There's times you go somewhere, and you know you're in an area, or you're eating something, and all of a sudden you get that scent of that deceased person you worked on at one time. You kind of push your food away and say, "I'm done."
Yeah, that would do it. That would do it. If you
Daryl
die,
says the last 5 years have destroyed family and friends, mine included. I've almost completely rolled over my Rolodex. You know, and that's where you have to be the better person, Daryl. And I've run into this many times, and I counsel a lot of people, and I always tell people, be the better person. Be that person that says, I'm sorry. Be that person that says, I love you, I care about you. And you know what? That makes you the better person, and it takes all that guilt that you have on your shoulders, and it puts it right on that other person's shoulders. Just by reaching out and saying, I forgive you, I love you, the past is the past, it doesn't matter.
do you know Daryl?
Doesn't matter. Daryl still needs to hear what I think. I mean, do you know Daryl?
Daryl's a hard rock.
Doesn't matter.
Now,
if you're a hard
listen,
rock or
though.
not.
When Daryl's around his animals, though, Daryl is the most kind, gentlest guy I've ever seen in my
Brad,
lifetime.
Even the hardest rock gets broken by death.
There's a whole bunch of things that break a person, period, and death is one of them. But not only death, it's the stories that go along with death.
It's being around death, seeing how people handle death, how the grieving process is, a whole bunch of things. You know, but even the hardest rock gets broken when you're around death enough to realize.
I just know Daryl, and Daryl's like, this.
I don't know. A
Tough as
few
nails.
nights with Daryl.
Tough as nails.
And I would break Daryl.
If you die at home
I'll
alone,
break
and
Daryl.
Okay, now if you die at home alone and you're not found for a couple of days, will your dog or cat eat you? Who came up with that question?
That's
as a funeral director, have you ever had to deal with a body that was eaten by a family pet? Emma wants to know.
Emma, that's a serious question, and a lot of people ask that question. A lot of older folks come in and say, "Will my dog eat me, or my cat? Will they eat me if I'm, laying on the floor for?"
And
2
the
days?
answer is, based on a guy who doesn't work in the industry, yes.
The answer is yes. Your dog will eat you if your dog's hungry. They will eat you, and your cat will eat you before your dog does. And rats will eat you, mice will eat you. There's a whole bunch of things that'll eat you in your house when you're lying there. And have we gone to a home
How many flies does it take to start that process?
Oh, it takes one fly to start a maggot breakout.
Really, eh?
It does. But let's talk about, forget the maggots, let's talk about the pets. So we've gone to homes.
This show bugs me.
Or we've gotten people from homes that have been eaten by their dogs, eaten by their cats, and I'm not talking about the whole body, but they'll definitely dig into
That's
you.
why I don't pick up.
So if you think your dog isn't going to eat you if he's hungry, if he's hungry, you got another thing coming, because your dog will eat you, and so will your cats. See, my uncle's dog ate him, John says. That's why he's not having all-you-can-eat pasta. Oh, man.
When you meet people outside of work and tell them you're a mortician, do they get creeped out, or do they make assumptions about who you are as a person? Has it been a blessing or a curse, or really a non-issue in regards to your romantic life? Shelley wants to know. Let's get Sharon on the phone.
Yeah, Shelley, we'll ask Sharon. We'll get her on the phone and ask how the romantic life is after I tell Sharon, yeah, I embalmed 3 bodies today, and I did
the
this.
The guy
and
comes
that.
home smelling like death.
So it's interesting, because when people find out you're a mortician or a funeral director, my dad always said to me, the one thing my dad always said to me is, Mike, if you become a funeral director, death is going to follow you around.
Everywhere you go.
Come on, Dad. And then it does. Death follows you around no matter where you are. And people find out you're a funeral director, they want to talk to you about death.
Just checking out over my shoulder. Taking a look around.
The last time I looked over my shoulder was at the crematorium when there was Casper behind me there somewhere. But people always want to talk to you about death, and they want to hear stories. Everyone has a question to ask. And it's really interesting, because the questions become more interesting all the time. There's just something about death and about your romantic life. So I've heard that some funeral directors, from friends of mine, don't get too much romance after coming back from a day at the funeral home. They get the romance in their day off.
I know I don't.
Sharon, you're not even a mortician.
That's correct.
I know one thing that drives Sharon crazy. Okay, and
I'm sorry if you mentioned my name.
So after a busy day at the funeral home, we have lots of flowers, and you throw the flowers away, and these are flowers that people paid for. So there's been times I'll cut up the flowers, and I'll put them in a bouquet, and I'll take them home, and I'll place them in a vase. I love you, honey. And then, Sharon, I love you, and I just thought I'd bring.
She knows automatically because there's no card with it, doesn't she?
No, I put a card there, but then Sharon says to me, "Did you get these from the funeral home?" Well, what's the difference? They're flowers, Sharon. Somebody went and bought them.
No, they came from a florist.
How do you feel about that? How would you feel about your husband being a mortician or a funeral director, or Brad working in a funeral home? And why don't you try it? Why don't you bring flowers home for your wife on Friday?
No.
What do you think she'd say?
Not even going to.
What would you think, Mary Lou? What would you think if your husband worked in a funeral home and brought you home flowers?
So out of character for me.
Would you be okay with that? Daryl says the cops follow you around after a certain death, don't they? Yes, they do.
The cops do?
Mary Lou says too much information. Cheap. Come on, that's not being cheap. It's being caring. You're bringing flowers home. Doesn't matter where they come from.
All right, Peter says
Paula
I'm 7.
Says, hi tonight. How late am I? Getting here. Oh.
Are we going to continue on here? Because we've got questions to get through, and you're running out of time, buddy. I'm 70 years of age. Do you provide senior discounts asking for a friend?
Oh, man, you go to the...
Peter wants to know, man. He wants
Peter,
that Salisbury special.
You want a discount, like a 2-for-1
15% off. 15% off.
Oh, man, if we had a senior's discount...
Two can dine
for... if you had a senior's discount at a funeral home, that would be crazy. No, we don't offer seniors discounts, but we will take care of you if you come in and give you the best service possible. But
Can I use your invoice or your bill as a tax write-off?
no. So in Canada, you can't write off funeral expenses.
Why not?
You just can't. Revenue Canada doesn't allow you. So,
What if I died while I was working?
well, you can't either way. So it's a good question because people always ask, can I write off the funeral expenses?
Yeah.
And you can't. The estate can't even write them off, which is really sad.
We'll see about that. Justin's not in charge anymore.
Daryl says, if they think you're guilty, LOL.
Okay, so my loved one passed away last week in Toronto. The funeral director in charge collected money for clergy and the person singing. And when I handed him the envelope, he asked where the funeral director tip was. I thought this was inappropriate. What's the take on tipping? I ain't got no tip. Is there tips?
Wow.
Is there tips?
So that funeral director in Toronto should get his hand spanked because you should not be asking for a tip as a funeral director. Yes, there's oftentimes I will go to the family and get the money for clergy. Like, for example, I'm doing a service with Father Nick or Father Sam or one of those guys or Pastor Jim or whoever, and I will take an envelope to them and saying, this is an honorarium for the family. And if there's a singer or somebody playing the organ or whatever the case may be, you would usually give them an envelope. But never would I say to a family, oh, and the funeral director's wondering where his tip is.
I'm putting a tip jar out.
We don't ask for tips, and the funeral director should never ask you for tips. As a matter of fact, I tell even the guys that are driving the limousine, we're providing a service to a family that's grieving, a family that just lost a loved one, the most precious gift of their lives. The last thing you do is accept a tip from the family. You say, no, thank you. I get paid from the funeral home, and we won't accept
at
that.
the end of the day, man, Mike doesn't cheap out. He pays his employees properly, he does it well, and everybody goes home satisfied.
So don't tip your funeral director. And you know what? It really bothers me, even at the Cork and Flame, for example, when people think they deserve a 25% tip. I always tell, and I told the staff there, the servers, don't ask for a tip. Let them give you what they want. If you provided great service, you're going to get a good tip. If you provided lousy service, well, that's what you're going to get in return.
So our next question, getting to the last couple of the night tonight. Do you funeral directors use Botox? The reason I'm asking is Grandpa passed away and his features were basically sunken in when we saw him at the funeral home. He looked 20 years younger with no sign of decaying or sign of illness. Monica wants to know.
So Monica, guess
you
what?
can make me look better than I do.
Kid, I can make you look great, Brad. We do have Botox. So funeral homes have Botox. And, there's times that I will get somebody...
Raise my forehead a little bit.
Make Brad look better for the next show. It's like, oh my God, what happened to
all I got to do is lie down.
So, there's times where we will bring out the lips or bring out the cheekbones or
do that again.
Eyes.
Just squish
you'll
your
see the
cheeks
eyes are
together.
sunk in after death, and we will use our Botox and we will bring out all the features. And I'll bring Botox next week, and we'll practice on.
No, we will not.
We'll practice on Brad and make him look
not.
really, really good.
Bring Josh or Sharon here.
Friday
then.
when you come to the funeral home, we'll give you some Botox. So yes, we do have Botox.
All right. This will probably be the weirdest question you ever received. My dad has 2 knee replacements, a hip replacement, and a pacemaker. Can we ask the funeral home to provide us with the metal from the knee and the hip, and also the pacemaker? Toby wants to know.
Toby,
she wants her dad back.
It's your lucky day. So a lot of families come in and they say, I would like my kids to have my parts back.
Right.
So we give them the hip replacements or the knee replacements, and we do all kinds of stuff. And believe it or not, some of them, one family actually went and got the knee replacement and went to a jeweler and got a custom piece made that they wore all the time, which I thought was really cool. So if you could do something like that, why not? Right? So yes, we will give you everything back that you request, including the pacemaker. Not very sanitary when you give them body parts back because they were in the body. And they've been through the heat process, not the pacemaker because we pull that out. So when you get the pacemaker, it's kind of,
you know how
fluids on it.
You know how that girl's been saying that she deserves to have 2 seats on the airplane because it's got to be double wide for her?
Yeah.
Well, what's the story with size of caskets now? Can you charge extra for large people?
So we do charge extra for large people when it comes to a casket.
Pushing like 550 pounds, 600 pounds, and trouble deciding between cremation or traditional burial?
Well, Kevin, have no fear. We have a solution for you, whether it's cremation or traditional burial. So you need to know we don't charge at our funeral home for... Some funeral homes will charge you by the pound after so many pounds. This is a true story. So after 150 pounds, I believe it is, they'll charge you per pound.
So you're worth more than me?
So I'm worth way more than you. So when you go to the crematorium, I don't know if you've ever been there, but we have a table where the body is placed on prior to cremation, and that table has a scale on it. So we can actually hit the scale, and it'll tell you how heavy that person is.
Really, eh?
Yeah. So what funeral homes do in some cases is they take that weight, and every pound over that, they charge the family extra for cremation. At Voyage Funeral Home, we don't do that. We don't charge you per pound.
By the pound, yeah.
By the pound. We're not a meat
Kilogram.
or the kilogram. But if you're going to get a casket, there's two things you need to know, Kevin. The one thing is you need to get a plus casket. So it depends how large you are. There's caskets that are made for bigger and bigger people. So with that being said, you also have to deal with the cemetery digging a wider hole. So there's caskets that you can get. As long as we can get the casket in the hearse, we're good. So it's the width of a hearse. That's as best as you can get. And I remember one time, and I'm not making fun of somebody, but I remember one time there was somebody who was extremely overweight, and they wanted to take the person to a cemetery. And that person pulled up with his F-350 truck with a trailer on the back, and that's where we put the person. It was on the trailer. And then when we got to the cemetery, the tractor actually came and lifted the casket.
Really?
And placed it over the grave, so no need for pallbearers. So there's a solution to every problem. And if you're overweight, so be it. Some people aren't overweight because they want to be. They have health issues.
You can take care of it
with
proper and etiquette and compassion and all the things that you do.
We're compassionate no matter what happens, and we don't judge families about how big they are or how small they are.
Right.
It's about what was in their hearts, right? We just try to do the right thing for their families by giving everyone a dignified burial, whether it's a traditional burial or a simple cremation. That brings this show to an end.
It does.
Don't forget to pray for those families that are involved in the flowers. Pray for some rain.
Fires.
Pray for Brad and I because we
need... You said flowers, you meant fires.
Fires. Pray for Brad and I because we need lots of prayer, especially Brad.
Pray for my hair to come back.
Oh, my God. Don't forget to like, share, and follow us on Ask the Funeral Director. Take care of yourselves and each other. God bless you and your families. Good night.
Good night, everybody.